I did not have a degree in coaching. So it was very hard for me to even say to the world that I'm a coach. That was my first roadblock. And then, I had to look around. I had to see, acha, does Robin Sharma have a ICF coaching certification? Oh, he doesn't have. Acha, but he's got a lot of knowledge. I see. Okay. Does Tony Robbins have a coaching certificate? He doesn't have. Does Mel Robbins have a coaching certificate? Oh, she doesn't have. They understand the knowledge.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Be All You Can, the show where we bring your stories, insights, and strategies to help you unlock your full potential. I'm Devashish Sahu, your host for today's episode, and I'm thrilled to welcome Saloni Suri, a coach and speaker who blends the fascinating world of neuroscience with practical tools for personal growth. Saloni's work focuses on helping people rewire their thinking, break free from limiting beliefs, and embrace a growth mindset. So, welcome to this podcast, Saloni.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Deva. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So, before we begin with this conversation, I must mention that I had the chance to attend your workshop on campus,
Yes.
which you had conducted. And what really stayed with me was the way you seamlessly blended neuroscience with coaching. Now, that's something incredibly compelling about approaches that are rooted in science, and it leaves little room for doubt and a strong case for action, which I thought everyone who attended the workshop benefited from. Segueing from there, I would like to begin this podcast by asking you what first sparked your interest in using neuroscience as a medium for coaching? Why neuroscience?
Yeah, so I'm actually a very left-brained person, which means that for me, there has to be logic and there has to be some sort of backing in terms of if I have to believe in something, I need to understand what is happening at the back. Correct? So I think that is where I started going deeper into neuroscience and coming from the spiritual world where there is yoga, there's meditation. So I was curious. So I think my journey started because I am like that. I need proof points. I need data points. So and I got those data points in neuroscience. So what has been said in terms of coaching world, what is it that you really have to do? All of that in our ancient texts, it was already written. So they probably knew the neuroscience of it already. And I wanted to study it because a lot of people, when you even say the word manifestation, you talk about imagination, you talk about visualization, people just switch off. I mean, this is all like, it's all like la la land. So I needed to explain it, I needed to teach it to the skeptic and to that person who would say to me that I don't believe this. So I approached it like that. And I think it really worked. And there is so much of literature out there which talks about this. So I spoke what I would understand because I have used everything that I teach. I have used each and every approach on myself to test run it to see whether it works or it doesn't work. And when I collected enough data points that, this works, let's do it.
Fascinating indeed. So, was there a defining moment or experience that pushed you towards this journey of delving into the depth of neuroscience?
Uh, I have been studying it for over 25 years, I would say, but I never taught it. So I used it for myself because I realized that I needed to become and unlock my own potential. Because if I cannot do it for myself, what am I going to teach you? Correct? So I did not have a degree in coaching. So it was very hard for me to even say to the world that I'm a coach. That was my first roadblock. And then, I had to look around. I had to see, acha, does Robin Sharma have a ICF coaching certification? Oh, he doesn't have. Acha, but he's got a lot of knowledge. I see. Okay. Does Tony Robbins have a coaching certificate? He doesn't have. Does Mel Robbins have a coaching certificate? Oh, she doesn't have. They understand the knowledge. So you see, your beliefs will come and stop you. So I had to work on myself and my belief system to change it so that I could confidently say, yes, I'm a neuro coach. I know what I'm talking about. And yes, I am self taught. I don't know if you're familiar with this author called Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead.
Yeah, Fountainhead. Yeah.
Classic book. I read this book in my 8th standard. There was the protagonist, his name is Howard Rook. And in the 8th standard, he deeply influenced me, deeply. And I understood that how important the mind is. And then there were books like Zen and the Art of Martial Arts. And these were just books that are lying around. It started off my journey into becoming clear about what my values were, who I wanted to be, and how I could serve the world. And I went to study in hostels. My father was in the railway, so he had a transferable job. So after the 10th standard, I was 15 years old and I lived on my own. I started studying, right? And we obviously didn't have any devices, we didn't have any distractions. And my parents always told me that you have to study for the rest of your life. So there was a system, right? For example, if I look at the 5 pillars of life, if I have to explain it very simply, the number one is bhakti. Bhakti is devotion, is of two kinds. The first one is actually towards yourself because you are responsible for yourself and you have to be devoted to your work. Always work hard. See how is it that you can become a better version of yourself. The second is seva. Always do work in which you are helping other people, right? Because when you help another person, you are actually putting your work, taking your gifts, taking your blessings, and you're helping the divine one. And the third is vidya. Always study about yourself, and always keep studying, keep gaining more knowledge about the work that you do because it is changing. We are living in a very volatile environment. And when you have a Vidya related mindset in which you haven't arrived because you don't know it all, and then it keeps your balance in place. The fourth is Gyan. Gyan is your wisdom. When you have knowledge, you will have Gyan. You will have the wisdom to take the right decision at the right time. And the fifth and the most important is your karma. I meet so many clients, so many leaders who are so lost in their own thoughts and they're so lost in their brain fog and they're not able to take a decision. And that is when procrastination starts to creep in. So my entire youth, I would say, was spent alone, right? And I studied so much to become clear on what I wanted to do. And then when I entered into marriage, and I was very clear at that time, also as a 24-year-old when I got married, that this is how a relationship should be. This is what marriage is all about. And like I said, the secret to a happy marriage is being married to a happy person, right? So I was a happy person and I continue to work on my happiness so that, I'm not looking for it outside because the truth is, Siva, that, nobody can actually make you happy. It is your job to make yourself happy. Because when you work well, automatically it will have a reflection on your work because it is the same person, right? And when this part is sorted, then many times people don't know what they need to do. They don't know what gives them happiness. They don't know that. And I always say the first step is go inside, figure yourself out. Because once you have figured yourself out, you are in a good place. So I would say I figured and I am figuring myself out to date. And that is a quest of life. The purpose is to figure out how you work and what you have to do here. And if we have embedded helping other people with our work, we feel very happy. So I love sharing my knowledge, a lot like what I'm doing right now with you, right? There is no benefit to me of sharing my knowledge with you, but this is my seva. Help other people. And everybody has a skill. Everybody. All of us are born with some gifts. All of us have blessings. But when we do it, and when we do it with this mindset, we feel very happy. And when you are studying yourself and when you're spending time in understanding what about your work as well as about you, again, you feel very happy. And wisdom is an outcome. Gyan is an outcome of the effort you have made to study yourself and study about your work. A leader who is able to take a very quick decision, his knowledge about that, the market scenario is very good. That is how he can take a decision. So, this Vidya, studying about yourself, I am taking a pause, just taking a pause. Confident people take a pause. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. That's a wonderful idea. Let me think about it and get back to you. That is known as wisdom. And when you take the action every day in these two parts of your life, you lead a very fulfilling life. It's what do you say? It's very shant. It's very humming because you know that आज का ही दिन है बस. आज मुझे क्या करना है? And which is where the journaling comes into play. So when you write every day, I'm so grateful that yesterday. I feel blessed that yesterday. I love that yesterday. So you've bought in your work, you've bought in your family, you've bought in your friends, you've bought in your community. Because, like I said, we are not wired to live alone. We are wired to live in a community where we feel safe, where we are seen, where we are loved. Because love is so important. So it's a very simple exercise. When you feel a lack of love, just take your right hand and just put it on your neck. 1, 2, 3. Releases a chemical called serotonin, oxytocin. Helps us feel calmer. Just take your hands and just brush them down. 1, from your shoulders. Do it 5, 6 times. Automatically, you will feel a little better. Because even during the day, there could be a big presentation coming up. A person feels nervous. A person feels anxious, feeling nervous. These are all real emotions and they happen to us, right? Somebody has said something to you and you want to immediately react back. Pause. Quickly, just do this. That simple exercise I taught in the workshop. 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Quickly do this. These are all methods in which your body can naturally reset itself and naturally recharge the way you are feeling. Because otherwise, if you allow the negative emotion to flow for more than 15 to 20 seconds, the negativity bias kicks in because that is the way the brain works. Negative emotions get stuck in our brain. Negative feelings, negative thoughts are way more powerful than the positive ones. The negative thoughts, they stick in our brain like Velcro, and all the positive stuff goes away. You forget everything. So, in that, the time that you have is very little. The window to shift from a negative thought pattern to a positive thought pattern is close to about 10-15 seconds. I mean, that's the amount of time it takes to build a new neural pathway. So, you have to think differently. When you find yourself in a soup, when you find yourself spiraling into a negative loop. So, how quickly you can actually shift it is the game changer. And that is the quest. And the biggest problem I see nowadays is people rushing in because the brain is continuously on an overdrive, it is continuously running, right? So, you feel you have to do firefighting all the time. Therefore, pause. And when you pause, even if you do the simple exercise for 10 seconds, you do the calming exercise for 10 seconds. There are very interesting brain games on the mobile app stores, right? And many of these brain games, they're for 1 minute or for 2 minutes. And if you play that game for 2 minutes, you have immediately shifted your thought. There's something called Q block. It's a strategy game. So you actually have to sit and make those boxes. So your mind gets distracted. What do people do? They end up scrolling on Instagram. Instagram scrolling and watching Netflix, the brain is not doing anything. You're just watching. You're just watching. There is no activity that is happening, right? So, whenever you have to choose between entertainment and education, use something in which your brain is actually moving. It is also entertainment. Playing a mobile game is also entertainment. It's not a problem. But at least you're using your brain. right? And then you can replace a negative thought with a positive thought. And many times we don't have solutions. We don't know the answer. That is when the spiral is even heavier. So when you don't have an answer to the situation or the problem that you might find yourself in, you have to move the left and the right brain because the answers are somewhere hidden over there. And when you play a interesting game, like I can give you two recommendations. One is a game called Q Block, and the second is a game called Triple Match 3D. There is color in it, and you have to operate in threes, right? You have to touch three things and you have to collect it. And they have the sound shing, not like how Zomato and Swiggy do it, right? So that shing gives us a reward. It releases dopamine, and there are levels to cross. So, agar kahin, if you're not working well at work and you find yourself, at least win on a mobile game,
Yeah,
because
these are those little victories
it
that
is it
that
is
give you
very
that
small
flip.
ones. And the music that the triple match has is absolutely on point. The design of the game and its color. So you have to match three things. So left brain, right brain, left brain, right, and spatial. You have to go left, right, left, right, left, right. You have to find it. You have to find it. So when you're finding something and you're collecting it, it gives the message to the brain. You'll figure this out. It's not a problem.
You gave us already some science backed tools and techniques that we can use in our day to day lives. Now, some of us are pessimistic by nature, some of us are optimistic by nature, some of us are in this spectrum, lie somewhere in the middle, right? Now, introversion is a trait, right? As different people with different mindset, what is some those common things that all of us can do to build this what you term as growth mindset? So how do we manifest this growth mindset if inherently I'm a pessimist?
The first step I would say is journaling, right? Because pessimism has a vocabulary. So there are words that you have remembered, you have heard it, and therefore you are repeating it. So unfortunately, optimism and pessimism is also taught in childhood. So remember that optimism needs to be taught. And if you have forgotten it, number one, it's a learned skill. What is your default? Pessimism is something that you have learned. So if you have learned it, you can unlearn it. Optimism is your default. All children are born with the feeling that they are going to work, and they do it. So, for example, in the Rewire Your Brain book, there are affirmations. So when you are spiraling down, use an affirmation that works for you. And all research shows us that one trait of all successful leaders, the number one trait is they have a very optimistic outlook. Because optimism and decision making and problem solving are linked together. A person who's pessimistic will not be able to take a decision. He's not going to be able to actually solve a problem. We love to be acknowledged for the effort that we have made, acknowledging others, sharing credit, celebrating, recognizing people who have come together to find the solution. That happens by collaboration. It happens by teamwork, right?
Right. Saloni, on this point, I'd like to ask, you
Uh,
said that most leaders are optimistic, and while that's a good trait, how do you balance? A lot of people are optimistic and hence they underplan, because they always see rosy side of things, and that leaves them at times unprepared to face the obstacles and unknowns which oftentimes come across your way when you are striving for things. So, how do you balance your optimism bias with the right amount of planning and preparation?
right. So that is where knowledge comes into play. So when you are not knowledgeable enough and you are not spending some time in gathering all the data points, your informed optimism is going to be skewed because आपके पास knowledge नहीं है. अगर आपके पास knowledge है, अगर आपके पास सारे data points हैं, which is why we say don't rush in. Take one day, gather all your data points, and then take a decision. Then it is an informed decision. Every decision that you take is a risk because you don't know the outcome. But the more informed you are, the more data points you have, the faster. And today, by God's grace, we have So much of data that is available using AI tools and tech tools. So I think spending time in studying, spending time in gathering data, there is only so much that you will be able to gather, so much. But then you have to trust your instinct. So the instinct is in the gut. It's a gut feeling. All successful leaders trust their gut. They trust their instinct because optimism and pessimism both come into that together. So when you have to choose, always trust yourself. Always. So optimism, informed data points, and your instinct. This is a triangle. And when you connect the dots, you will be able to move forward.
I found it very startling. One of your statements was, "We are all professional failures." Right?
Right.
That's very honest and powerful. So, what exactly do you mean by that? And we all fail, right? We all fail. So, how do we see those failures not as being a reflection of our identity, rather than as a stepping stone towards something greater?
So the answer is very simple. And we all have to remember this that failure is an event, it is not personal. The problem happens when you make it personal. I failed. No, the task that I was doing, the decision that I took was wrong. Therefore, I failed. Now, when you remember this, you are good. The problem is when you make the same mistake 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. That is when it becomes a problem. So, doing a reflection after a failure, or after a event or a decision in which you have failed. So, doing a reflection, okay, what did I learn from this failure? Stops it in the tracks, and then you don't make the same mistake 2 times.
No, that is so well said. That never make the same mistake twice. That's a sign of intelligence, and that's a sign of knowledge. Knowledge actually becoming wisdom, right?
Absolutely.
And I really love those 5 points of
Thank you.
bhakti, seva, vidya, gyan, and karma, because they are profound, because one can take action on each one of them, and
Absolutely.
each one of them feeds into each other. So, Saloni, you mentioned the book that you were working on during this conversation. I think, if I remember it right, it is Rewire Your Brain.
Right, right. So I always say that journaling is one of the most powerful ways in which you can change the way that you are thinking because we think in words, right? And over here, I have shared a very beautiful, it's a guided journal. So there are prompts and there is a formula that I have invented. It is known as the RRFM formula. Start your day with a reflection and remember what you are grateful for. Number two, rewire. Rewire your brain every day, rewire your belief system. And then it is the focus, which means what is it that you are focusing on today? So, goal manifestation has a lot to do with being able to be clear on what is it that you need to finish in the day. So, a reflection, be grateful because you want more of that. And the last one, the last sentence is, I know in my heart, which is the manifestation. Why do I write on a yellow book with a red pen? Because yellow and red is the color of action. There is a chemical called acetylcholine that is released with this color combination and it puts us into action. So you can follow, it's a 66-day guided journal. And if you follow this, it literally changes your life, literally. So journaling, meditation, and moving your body is part of the Brahma Muhurtam golden hour. And this is the best time between 4 to 6 a.m. to actually start taking control because within 20 minutes of waking up, unfortunately, cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is naturally released. So you have to put in the dopamine in the morning. These are values. So, you can choose from here if you like. And if you don't have the vocabulary of what your values are, you can choose it also. So it's a very powerful exercise and it's for 66 days. And yeah, that's what it is.
So, folks, do peruse the book Rewire the Brain. Do give RRFM a try and see how it helps you.
Absolutely. And there is a free YouTube video. You can also go and watch it if you like.
Oh, that's even better. Thank you, Saloni, for joining us today and inspiring our colleagues with your incredible journey and the practical tips that you doled out, which I'm sure is going to help all of us going forward in our journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Be All You Can, a podcast by Godrej Enterprises Group, exploring the passion, purpose, and dreams of pioneers. Stay tuned for more stories that inspire action and impact.